So this is a poem about imagining you're somewhere else. Well, no English rain here, that's a little patch of English snow. And here, Tutbury Castle. This is where Mary, Queen of Scots, was incarcerated, and you can imagine she would have wanted to be somewhere else. And I wonder how many of you do that, long to be somewhere away from England. This is Sparky on his holidays. He's quite pleased to be somewhere else, I expect. And there's Miss Havisham, always drawn to the bright lights and dreams of escape. And where are they now? Ah, yes, here they are, enjoying a quiet chat in the luxury of warmth by the radiator.
Ah, ¿cómo stai? Asked Mrs. Havisham. Oh, bastante bien, gracias, says Sparky. Me siento bien. Ah, très bien, replies Mrs. Havisham. Je suis très heureux aussi. Hopverdomme, says Sparky. So what's the furniture inside your mind? Here, Duffy thinks of it as language. Its language is muffled by the rain. And I wonder if this is a language that she hears or that she expects the rest of us to hear. This kind of longing for escape that's driven package holiday industries all over the country. I'm recording this over the Easter weekend, and people are fleeing in millions and taking to the roads in even greater numbers. It's as though the urge to escape is a particularly English thing. And we're rubbish with languages, aren't we? I don't know how irritating you found my little bit at the beginning, but language is muffled, and what is it that's doing it? The very Englishness, rain, which we'll see in the last verse, is associated exactly with England, and it is here as well. And so partly this feels like a criticism of what it is to be English. And of course Carol Ann Duffy is partly English and partly Scottish, and maybe that's at play here. Maybe there's a dig at her English roots. I don't know. Is there some implied criticism here? You're paying for something that actually you can't really afford. This holiday is paid for on the credit card, and look at the absence of common sense. You take a warm coat with you, but only as far as the as the plane, but then you leave it there. And I can't help but feel she's quite critical of this desire to escape. And in terms of literature, in terms of poetry, novels, whatever you're interested in, is actually furniture in the mind. It's a place that you can retreat to wherever you are. You know, imagine if you were held hostage for 40 days. What would you actually think of? And someone educated, at least in terms of literature, will always have somewhere to retreat to. They'll always have memories to call back on. But here, the memories are muffled. We're not really sure. Is it half remembered, or is it an anticipated mistake? And there's a kind of lack here, isn't there? We're only half of what we should be. And I guess rereading this first verse, the more I think about it, the more it's an attack. And if we return to the title, Your Mind, she's writing to us, the English reader, and telling us, look, this is what you're missing. This is how shallow your life is. And this simile here I think is quite interesting. We need to remember the past if we're not to repeat its mistakes. But here the past fades. And what does it fade like? Newsprint in the sun. These are people, the English, who don't read. And the only thing they read are newspapers. And I think this pun is deliberate. This is the most popular newspaper in the UK, The Sun. And she's condemning us for this. And if you've read The Sun, you'll know why she'd want to. And the second verse, it seems, also attacks the English. You know people there, and so automatically you're travelling to a country where you feel safer. Maybe people who speak the same language as you. This idea of the expats, if you go to Spain, it's full of people who've settled out there and have only English friends. Their faces are photographs on the wrong side of your eyes. Well, at this level, wrongness is immediately associated with you, the English person, but there's also a wonderful wistfulness here, a sense of loss. You're remembering things, but the photographs aren't in front of you. In other words, you're not in front of the memories, the things that you value, because you're abroad. It's interesting, isn't it? The things that you have left behind are the things that should actually be in front of you. You're not valuing the very things in life that are valuable. Instead, you're valuing escaping them. And what do you notice? A beautiful boy. Well, the alliteration possibly here highlights the words boy, somebody who is immature or beneath you, and yet you're still transfixed by them. Why? Because you're in the bar, you're probably drunk. How do we know? Because you don't even care what you're drinking, you'll just drink it. And there's this very English idea of getting drunk, drowning your sorrows, escaping from a mundane reality through alcohol. But is that really escape? And then the most ludicrous image of escape is this. Could men possibly land on the moon? How far away can we actually get? And the stupidity of the speaker is given in the answer, no. She doesn't think that anyone could ever get there. But of course they do. And we know that. And it's an interesting little dramatic device of dramatic irony. The reader knows just how mistaken this person is. And then to convey your stupidity, our stupidity, there's this wonderful simile, a moon like an orange drawn by a child. I mean, I won't be able to see a full moon in sunshine now, or obviously you can't, but in a sunny climate, without thinking of this image. That's a brilliant description of a moon. But then look what happens in the metaphor. You watch it peel itself into the sea, and so you've got this image of the moon here, and then you've got the sea underneath, and then you've got the reflection of the moon. And if my memory serves, I haven't seen one of these in a while, that's what the reflection looks like. And as this is the peel of the orange, and as the moon sinks, that peel shimmers across the water. That's just a fantastic metaphor for what happens when the moon sets, or when the moon actually rises. And I think this is a deliberate contrast to the simile. That's what you see, but the metaphor, that's what the poet sees. And she's emphasised that with the pun on sea. And I think that's deliberate as well. Look how marvellous my vision is compared to your childlike one that you thought was good. And I think she's emphasising her own superiority over us. We have this childish fantasy. But actually, if we valued what we have at home, we'd have so much more. Then in the third verse, something odd seems to happen. I can't make up my mind if she's still critical of you, or whether something's changed. Sleep. The rasp of carpentry wakes you. This is a curious sound, isn't it? Again, it's almost onomatopoeia here. Rasp actually gives me the sound of a saw on wood. But rasp of carpentry, does that sound like raspberry to you? Is she blowing a raspberry at us, or am I being too fanciful? Well, I don't know. A painting lost for 30 years renders the room yours. So why have you lost it? Well, possibly because it's something from your childhood. But now it's returned here. And so, yes, again, there's that superiority, of course. We're trapped in a childhood world. But now we've made this new country our own. We're no longer thinking of fleeing. We've got a job. We've got directions, right at the old hotel, left and left again. And the old hotel presumably is where we stayed when we arrived, but now we're settled. Now we're in another country. You love this job. Somehow we've become adult in this place, and we're no longer dreaming of escape. The sounds we hear are apt, and they're better than the sounds we heard at home. Seagulls, bells, a flute practicing scales. We're moving into culture here, aren't we? Away from sunshine and alcohol. And this is curious. We're becoming more Christian, A rasp of carpentry reminds us of Jesus or his father Joseph. Then we've got the bells of the church, and then finally the Christian symbol of a fish is what this stanza ends on. And there's an idea, I think, in this poem that our Christianity here is saving us. You swap a coin for a fish on the way home. This is a wonderful image. We're somehow retreating into a more pure life, a simpler life. Instead of being obsessed with money, we swap the money for something else. There's something wholesome about it, something pure. And so I think this verse, on balance, is probably a description of what life could be like if lived away from England, not just as an escape. And there's a sense that Europe is somehow more whole, more mature, better for your soul. And then we move to the fourth verse, a fourth verse in which we're suddenly brought back to England. Then suddenly is emphasised here. She's bringing us back to an English sense of place. You are lost but not lost. And why are you lost? Well, probably because you've left this kind of warm seaside area that we were in before. Now we're watching 6 swans, a very English sort of image, isn't it? And they're vanishing under your feet. A lovely metaphor again for not being sure where you belong. You can't put your feet down here. The swans are shifting beneath it. The certainty of place returns, and this is ironic. Yes, I'm certain of place because I'm there, but also it's another place. This other place is taken over. Turns on the lights all over town, turns up the scent on the air, and smell is the most evocative thing. If you want to remember something, the smell is the quickest way to do it. For a moment you were there, and it's as though you've lived there for a while in the first verse here, in the third verse. You've had a job there, but now that time has become a moment, and the other country is the place you've just left. You were there, but now you're back here in England with the English rain, looking out of a window because outside is not attractive, and you're stuck. Instead of the culture that you had with bells and a flute, you're now stuck back with a newspaper. You've got small ambitions and a small mind again, and you're stuck behind a desk without the imagination to enjoy it. The only thing you want is to escape. Sparky, what do you think? Yes, you think that this dream of escape is actually universal. It's not an attack on the English at all. And this kind of dream landscape, this sort of dream alternative life that Duffy's given us, that's actually an image of hope that we all share, not because we're English, but, well, we suffer English weather, we suffer English lives. Maybe it is because we're English, but it's actually because we all long to escape, and that's natural. Who wouldn't want to escape? Here you are, you've escaped into this marvellous bath, haven't you? Wonderful, and you've cleaned it as well. How fantastic. I must show my family and let them know that it is possible to clean a bath after you've had a bath. Thank you, Sparky. But where's Miss Havisham? She's still in England. Ah, there she is, up above the fireplace again. Let's see what she thinks. Yes, Miss Havisham, she's quite sure that actually the English, they're obsessed with Johnny Foreigner and their foreign languages that aren't worth learning. Just look at how few people bother to learn them in school, and when they do, complain about it. And the newspapers that they read, for God's sake, they're always full of gossip and sex and boobs and God knows what. Nothing really serious like the news. And she sees it all as a terrible attack on the English. Why? Because the English are terrible. Oh my God, I'd rather be somewhere else. Blue, what do you think? Well, I'm not really sure. I'm just a dog.
I don't know, don't ask me, I'm just a dog. Haven't you noticed?
Yes, I have noticed. It's funny you should say that. You carry your coat everywhere with you. Not like that idiot on the plane. Come here, Blue. Who's a good boy?
Oh yes, hello. What a super doggy.
Well, Sparky and Miss Havisham have thrashed it out between them, and I'm afraid Miss Havisham has been victorious today. And she'd like me to tell you about a few of the things in the last verse that prove, she reckons, that she's right. Look how stupid we become in the last 2 lines. We used to know the name of the country when we were clever, in that brief moment when we imagined a future there. But that was only a brief moment, and now we don't know anything. Look what's happened to us. We speak in short sentences, sentences without verbs. Because why? We're stupid. Why? Because we're English. And then a desk. Look at the repetition of A, as though we're stuck at the beginning of the alphabet. Idiots, aren't we? And what can't we escape? The humdrum nature of our lives. We're sedentary at a desk. The news we're not really interested in because it's just ephemeral. It's made of paper. It's disposable. The same rubbish will be in our pages the next day, and yet we'll still read it. A window. Why? Because it's an image of how we're stuck indoors, longing for something outdoors. We're trapped in narrow lives, and we don't actually know how to make the best of them. Why? Because we moan about the weather, the English rain, the English moaning. But actually, how wonderful life could be if we just chose to look at it differently.